Hello everyone and welcome again. Okay, as we did in the past, first answer some questions about what I said last time or in the past. Alright, first question. Some reader asks me that why do you say your system is not a philosophy system? You call it Instancology and absolutology. If it's not a philosophy system, it's what? Well, I thought about this and last night, and my answer to this question is really yes and no. All right, here's my reason. Okay, remember this picture we talked in the past? If you remember it, the philosophy part is anything above, starting from pre-Socratic time till the last one. I think it's Husserl's and Husserl's phenomenology, Heidegger's Dasein, or Wittgenstein's logic investigation or tractatus when he published himself. All right, and that's as long as the big guys in this group are concerned. I didn't mention some other people like Popper, like Kuhn, like Derrida, and like Roddy, Hilary Putman. I didn't mention them. All right, okay. As long as the big system concerned, and I would say Instancology or absolutology is the same thing, are extension of the philosophy. You can say it's an extension because from the lines you can see they are all somehow related here, right? It's related here. You see the summary I made? Then they are related here. If you know everything in future, and you will know why I say that. All right, okay? So it's an extension of philosophy. As long as philosophy, by its definition, it's seek of wisdom, right? Philo means love, right? Sophy, like a sophist in the ancient pre-Socratic time. It's a wisdom. So seek wisdom. As long as this definition is concerned, you can say instancology and absolutology is still philosophy. But why I say it's no, not philosophy anymore? When I say that, I mean as in Heidegger's term, in Nietzsche's term, or since Kierkegaard, the father of existentialists, as people nowadays says, philosophy exhausted its inner logic. What does that mean? You can no longer develop anything new systematically. You can only chop at small pieces, bits by bits. No big tree ever grown. Why? That's a requirement of its inner logic. No more development. That's like a big tree. When the tree is fully grown, it has leaves, everything, it has branches everywhere. It eventually gives fruits. What else do you expect it? It is so big, so large, and everywhere. And a lot of people can take shade under it, but that's the end of it. It will die. Okay? That's called inner logic. The inner logic constricts its growth anymore. The only way it's dying. From that point of view, I say it's not philosophy anymore. Instancology and absolutology is not, two things considered one, is not philosophy anymore. All right? To summarize, philosophy, in another word, I can say philosophy is a study of something. Remember, people say where there's a something rather than nothing. It's a philosophical question, right? All right? People say that. Philosophy is a study of something, or nothing, if you like, but nothing actually comes from something. All right? Analyze the word. Nothing, no means denial. Thing means something. So it still comes from something. Okay? A lot of non-philosophical people, non-philosophy professional doesn't know that. I heard over the internet from a video, a journalist talk, the Parmenides is nobody. He says it's nothing, it's nonsense. The Heidegger is nonsense. I only can laugh at those people. They don't know what they are talking about. Okay? They don't know anything about Parmenides, about Hegel, about Heidegger. All right? They say something, they don't know what they are talking about. Trust me on that one. It has a reason, all right, why the philosophy develops to today. According to Hegel, according to Parmenides, according to Plato, or maybe my Instancology and absolutology. That's the progress of the absolute. Absolute nature from Schelling, absolute concept from Hegel, absolute form from Plato, all right, absolute thought from Parmenides, if you like, and absolute experience from Husserl, if you like. Now it's absolute itself, without any modifier, without any adjective, adverb to modify this noun. It's called the absolute itself. That's all the essence of Instancology and absolutology. All right, think about that. That's a very big concept. Okay, so if you study this graph carefully, you can see all the colored above part. Here, well, never mind the printer's function, not a good instance. It didn't give the full color. It only gave half. I don't know what's wrong with HP. And that's a division, okay? Okay, so I just mentioned this one to say why I say Instancology and absolutology is not philosophy anymore. It's something else, all right? Okay. And I also need to explain, maybe, if you say philosophy is a study of something, because the ontology, what does the word ontology mean? Ontology means unto something related, existence of something, the study of it. So it's study of existence or being. That's a philosophy, okay? But if Instancology / absolutology is not a philosophy, what it is, what does it study? Okay, that's a problem. That's a question you should have in your mind when you come to this system to learn it, all right, to study it, okay? For now, I can only say one thing, and I thought about this. If it's not something, is it something else? No. When people say something or something else, means another thing, right? When we die, you or me as Wade died. There's no Wade anymore, right? No this Wade. What did I become? I become a smoke. Somewhere, go somewhere. Or become the dust. Somebody can throw it into the sea or whatever. But I'm something, still something, right? Something else. Not Wade, but something else, right? It's the same thing for anything in the world. Anything with the property of space and time. Alright? You will become, or everything else will become from something become something else. That's a realm, the world of something. All right? Okay, now you know this part. It's called something. Something is what? Something always has imperfection, has defects in itself. Something will become nothing. Nothing is a part of something, or it's a property of something. That's why Hegel calls it pure being is nothing. See the thought? It's the same in the line with Plato, with Parmenides. Okay? Heidegger got this line too. And the Instancology and the absolutology goes along this line too. Okay? That's ontology in terms of philosophy. Okay? And but what you call it? I said, remember last talk I gave about the relativity? Relativity has a profound meaning in philosophy. All right? Not a lot of people talk about it, but I can assure you, the relative is the nature of our world. Everything is relative. As long as our sense can see, can feel, can touch, including science. What is science? It uses instruments, devices to detect, to tell us what the world is. In other words, they are extension of equipment of our senses. What we see, we hear, we smell, we feel. Okay? So, philosophy and science all study something. They are all relative. Okay. By now, I think you understand what I mean by relative, being relative. Everything in this world is something. Is something. Can you give me one thing that is not something? Okay. Then the other part I want to say is absolutology is not relative. That's the definition. Because upper than the topmost category, there's nothing. You cannot define it anymore. Like I said last time, tell me what kind of human is a woman. I said it's not a man. Or the vice versa, it's the same thing. Here, absolutology is not relative. Remember that. You may ask, naturally, if it's not relative, what is it? Well, the question is, you cannot even say, what is it? You cannot use the word is. You know why? Because the language is something. When language says is something, it's related to the world. It's the same as science. As philosophy, remember what Wittgenstein said? The language is a reflection of the nature of the world. Okay? So when you cannot say it, shut up. But the problem arises. If you shut up, you mean you cannot say it clearly? Or you feel it, but you cannot say it. Okay, here's the problem. You feel it, there's something else. Well, I cannot say something, but you can absolutely feel it. Well, I shouldn't use absolute because it makes a pun, right? It's confusing. You definitely will feel there's something, but you cannot say it clearly. That's a limit of language. Wittgenstein's genius. He sees it. Also, by the way, he admires metaphysics too. Okay? He is not against metaphysics in the past, in ancient time. That's not true. Okay? And here is the thing. But you can ask, if you say you cannot say it, that means you have the epistemology of something else. It's not intuition, not reasoning. Then how do you know this part? Well, that's part of the epistemology inside the absolutology or instantology. It's called Wu Xing from the Orient. Actually, it's called pure Wu Xing because it filtered all the logical part. That's different from some thoughts from India, some Buddhist, Hinduism, from Chinese Xuan Xue or something. It's not that. You must go through the logical part, then reach the new part. That's called pure Wu Xing or pure insight. Okay, it's a profound insight, insightful. You don't feel it with sense. Don't even feel it with logic, because logic is language. Don't use the logic, no language, but you can feel it. It's still there. You can call it, people call it sixth sense, maybe. Well, that's just a very popular term, but actually it needs more to say about that one. You have to make a study of what sixth sense is, and before you can formally put forward. So here, use a new term. I call it pure Wu Xing. All right? Okay. That's if it's something new to you, and think about that. I'll give you an example. All right? In ancient times, when Archimedes was assigned task of analyze the alloy made of the crown, the emperor asked him to give me the answer. Is that made of entirely gold or not, or with some other metals in it, like aluminum or lead or something? Maybe the craftsman cheated. When Archimedes discovered in his bathtub, well, I'm glad he has one, he shouted, "Eureka!" That kind of a moment. How he found this part? Is that by logical reasoning? Is that by feel, the sense? Feel it. I feel it's not right. No, it's not. All right? That's called pure Wu Xing. Any true discovery, any true creation, they all come from pure Wu Xing. All right? Give you another example. The creation by nature or discovery by nature follows the law of mathematics in terms of a transcendental number. It occurs only once. Only once. Remember. When Mendel discovers the beans, how beans grow, that's transcendental number. When you measure the diameters and with the circumference of the circle, it's a transcendental number. If you calculate a transcendental number, I think now use a high-frequency computer, they did like millions of times, billions of times. No repeating patterns. You can think about that. Only 10 digits or 16 or binary, whatever. No repeating patterns. It will never repeat itself. You cannot recognize it. Think about that. What else we cannot duplicate? We cannot copy. Only the real discovery, the real creation. Okay? I have the similar view to the popular search for aliens too. In my opinion, no. You are wasting energy and resources. You don't follow the law. The God or absolute, when they create the world, when it calls the world to come into resistance, it's a new creation. It's a real creation. It's a new discovery, if you want to say that. Well, creation, I think, is better. It follows the rule of transcendental number. It only does it once. That's why we human beings, life is on Earth. Nowhere else you can find life. Trust me. Well, prove me I'm wrong. I'm against the popular culture here. Well, it's easy, right? A lot of people say in 20 years they will bring aliens to Earth to prove that to the humans' big expectation for 1,000 years. You can have counterparts. We are not alone in the universe. All right, prove it to me. If that is the truth, then the transcendental numbers are wrong. But do you think so? Transcendental numbers can be wrong? It's the law of creation. I don't think it will be wrong, but you will be wrong. All right? Okay. That's a part I want to add, but maybe extend a little bit too much. All right. When you study, now I come to the first question. When you study this system, Instancology and abstractology, have 5 questions in your mind. 5 questions. Which 5? What is the nature of cosmology? A lot of people talk about multiverse, about inflationary universe, about Big Bang, about double dark energy, dark matter, about cyclical space or cyclical world, right? A lot of things, and they're very interesting, like swinging toys everywhere. There's hardly anything. They hope they only can find supporting evidence to prove it. They are right. Wow. The problem first with you cannot find anything to prove it, because the essence of proving it needs at least 2 things: the cause, the result. That's called causation in philosophy. All right. When science comes to this part, when philosophy comes to this part, it cannot depend on the other thing to prove, so-called, you are correct. This one is correct. All right? A system cannot prove itself, as Gödel's incomplete principle says. That's a law. Okay? A formal system cannot prove itself. As I mentioned in last time, let's say a fish, right? You may know what's a polluted water, what's cold water, what's warm water, what's salty water, but you can never ask the question what water is. That's a fundamental one, unless you jump out of the water. Otherwise, you are fighting, you are doing it in vain, because you are inside the water. It's the same for physics, for psychologists, for even journalists, or neutron research workers, medical people studying consciousness, study brain. They want to find the nature of the world, the nature of consciousness. I think you are wrong, totally wrong. The nature is the water of it. The consciousness is the water. You cannot ask it unless you can jump out of your field. You can out of the limit of your field. Without that insight, you just stay there. It's a glass ceiling. All right? Trust me, you cannot do that. But study this new philosophy. I presented to you in Instancology and cosmology. Absolutology. You will know something new. It will benefit you, trust me. All right. Maybe I am off topic a little bit. 5 questions. What's the first one? The nature of cosmology. All right. The other one is the smallest one. What's the nature of quantum mechanics? The elements, the basic elements, no matter how little they are. It brings up the question, can we ask why there is something rather than nothing? As I said, this is an ill-formed question. All right? Nothing is a part of something. It's a property of something. right? Like yourself is something, and you die is nothing, right? So dying is a part of living. Without living, can you talk about dying? Well, you don't have logic if you persist in this one, right? You don't have a logic training or philosophical training, all right? You have enough knowledge of your own field. Either it's psychology or physics or cosmology, whatever. You don't have philosophical training. Philosophy training, you don't understand this part, all right? Okay, the third question is the nature of knowledge. A lot of people ask, why on earth we can understand the laws of nature, as Albert Einstein says. The most amazing thing in the world is ununderstandable, not understandable, is that we can understand things, something like that, to that effect. I don't remember the exact quote. That's a part you should bear in your mind when you come to this system. Why we have knowledge, why knowledge is possible. What we can say undoubtedly, without all the confidence, we understand it. It has the firmest foundation, the strongest foundation, belief. Now I can say it's absolute. Only this part is the cornerstone of your knowledge. All right? How many did you go? How many left? Nature of knowledge. Okay, yeah, this is the part. What's the nature of consciousness? As I explained in the premise a little bit. So you can say that this is a question you bear in your mind when you come to this system. So cosmology, quantum mechanics, nature of knowledge, consciousness. I missed one. What's the last one? I forgot. Let me think. A big methodology. All right. When I remembered how I didn't write here because I just said. Okay, so I missed one. Remember, next time I'll give to you 5 questions. Okay, bear in your mind. Okay. The important thing is to understand the division of the absolute related to the relative. All right. Remember this picture I showed previously? All right. The relative part, the absolute part. The relative part is everything we have, well, let's say, the Milky Way galaxy. Do we have anything that out of Milky galaxy now from NASA? Any spacecraft that goes out of galaxy? No. Okay, so we are still in the relative part. All right. Now we need to fly, go over to the absolute part. That's how philosophy provides guidance for all other subjects, all other fields of science, all other aspects of human life, or even human civilization. Because philosophy is the top, is the upstream study. It gives your value system, which calls that term axiology, gave you world view, gave you methodology. That's the importance of philosophy. If we didn't come out for a while, for half a century, now it's time to let you judge yourself. Okay? It's not a small pistol. It's not even machine guns. It's atom bomb. All right? Think about that part. All other parts here, you grew like a child. When you have Alice in Wonderland, your attitude decides on everything. And the Eastern countries like China, the emperor, the so-called general secretary now, he is everything. He can do whatever he wants to. He doesn't have internet restriction. He can come to other countries to have a tour, visiting anywhere, but the 1.4 billion people cannot even have internet free of access, right? That's called attitudes. Okay, next part, facts. What are facts? The Western civilized countries do. They seek facts. What are the facts? That they care, all right? That's two parts goes to philosophy. Look at the top, all right? Here, philosophy, all right? That's philosophy part. Okay, then for Instancology and absolutology, it goes three parts. Now I want to replace the concept of facts. Make it a subsystem, like relativity make Newtonian classics, physics as a subsystem. Function is bigger concept. It covers the facts. Okay? If you can go even further, you go to relative. Everything is relative. Okay? Einstein foreshadowed this concept from science. It's called relativity. The special relativity and the general relativity. Now, philosophically, we will see everything in the world. If it's something, it's relative. Now, eventually it comes to absolute. So, absolute is not relative. That's the only definition I can give. And think about this concept. And okay, time is ending, and let me quickly show this one. Remember this one I did? All right, let me say a few more words. This Instancology and absolutology is rooted, is supported by two hemispheres of our brain. Okay, left and right. The black dots in the middle are something of the world, whatever you call it. Look at here, there's a black dot inside the left brain. When you're in the morning, before you wake up, your brain clears the memory. It produced the first new thought in your brain. Okay? For consciousness part, see the white dot here? It gives the meaning, the semantics, to whatever you think about in the logical part. Left part and right part, they cooperate with each other. Remember, the Instancology and absolutology started from brain. The nature of brain, because they are part of the absolute, or the localized absolute, are called the relatively absolute, RA. They are part of the nature of the absolute inside. That's absolute, inside the time and the space. See the time and the space of the two halves of our brains are inside this box. That means it's a space, temporal, spatial related, constricted, limited. Okay? How our brain produce thoughts are the same as how the absolute caused the world to exist. It produces only one. The one is relative. It has laws, it has two dimensions, mathematics and logic. They are the same system. So our brain every day create a universe. Have a Big Bang inside your head. Before you realize that's the same thing as the absolute create the Big Bang of our universe. Alright, think about this concept. It's very deep. Actually, it's deeper than anything else I bet you ever heard. Alright, see you next time.